All right, in this one, I'm going to share maybe a new way of thinking about making money online. And I'll come right out the gate by saying that the way to do it is to not do it online. Okay, so I've got my iPad paired up here so we can kind of walk through this together. So the first thing that I think about when it comes to when somebody says, make money online or make money through courses or online education or any of this stuff, I even think of like agencies or coaching, all that stuff, right? When I think about this space, to be honest with you, I'm kind of tired of it, right? And if you're in it, that's fine, right? I'm in the online education space, that's fine. But maybe I'm going to give you a little bit of a perspective here that maybe would be helpful to think about this. So the first thing that I think of is you've got all of these sort of like online course businesses. You've also got like the coaching space. Let's see, what else? You've got like agency. What else comes to mind? Like one-on-one. I don't know, education maybe. I don't know, something like this. Okay, most of the people trying to make a lot of money online, when they refer to this space, they think of it like this: like, I'm new to this online course space, or I'm new to coaching, or I'm new to running an agency, or whatever. Now, when you approach this space, usually what happens is you have to come up with a price, right? So typically what ends up happening is as soon as you box yourself into this, I'm just going to make like a line between this and then something else I'll propose. You immediately frame yourself into a very limited box of things you can do, okay? So when you think of this space, let's just get like core mechanics. Like, I'm not going to talk about offers or any of that nonsense, right? Just the core mechanics is basically like, okay, online course. What are the prices of these things? Like $47 or something, all the way to maybe $20K, maybe, I don't know, maybe more, maybe less. Another one I'm thinking of is like Mastermind or something. Mastermind, 20, 30, 60, 100K, 80K, that kind of stuff. You start thinking about these price points, right, immediately out the gate. What else comes to mind? Also, let's see, online course, coaching. We also have this idea of like coaching, which is $200 a month to, I don't know, $7,000 a month for coaching. Oops, not 700, 7,000K, 7,000. Like per month or something like this. And this is like one-on-one or group, right? This is usually like what comes to mind. Agency, we have the exact same thing going on here. We have retainer, like we have base, which is like, it's a 4K onboarding plus 1K per month, or up to 10K per month or something, right? These are the sort of I don't know. Excuse my chicken scratch, by the way. But these are the sort of prices that come to mind. One-on-one coaching, again, it goes back to this model, right? This much. Education, you think courses, you think, okay, a real course is like anywhere from $200 to $8,000 or something, right? Mastermind, you think of like, it's $10,000 to $100,000 per year. Something like this, right? All of these things are like, I don't know, a spectrum of just price and fulfillment, right? When most people think like make money online or something like this, they usually just immediately box themselves into these categories, okay? Like, I want to build an online course business because I heard you can make a lot of money there, or I want to build a coaching business or agency business or whatever. I want to kind of go down the pathway of why this degeneracy is not helpful to everybody, okay? Just to get you to think about it a little differently. When you go down this road, everybody wants to understand the model and the framework. So you're usually an expert, somebody of value. Maybe you are an expert guitar player. Maybe you make furniture really well. Maybe you've figured out like a great way for, I don't know, to get clients via LinkedIn or something. I don't know, something, right? I don't know, anything really. And you approach this sort of new leveraged world, which is this world, and you immediately box yourselves into these frameworks, right? And from these frameworks, you basically build a business. And here's what ends up happening is all of those people that I just listed off that have complete legitimate expertise, right? They enter into, quote, this space, and they figure out that, like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, basically. So what ends up happening is most of these people who are super successful sell how they became super successful, right? So let's say we have somebody who is like, I make $1 million a month, or I make $100,000 a month, or whatever it may be, right? I'm going to show you how to do this. I'll use the exact same strategies that we use to scale our thing so that you can too, kind of people, right? What they'll do is they will do something like this. They'll go, okay, our business basically teaches you how to do a mastermind. We'll show you like the marketing, the sales, the fulfillment, right? Strategies, and how to scale, right? And then they will make income claims like we make $1 million a month or something. And you'll go, whoa, it's working for them. It's working for everybody else inside this thing. I want to sign up for this. So what ends up happening is they will sell you this package for, something like this. I don't know, maybe 24 grand per year or something. I don't know. And inside this thing, they teach you how to do this. So it becomes this feedback loop. We have like the business that they have to their client. And it's just a feedback loop, right? It's creating like a synthetic thing going on. And this client, which is you now, has to use these strategies to implement in their business. However, their entire business wouldn't exist if you didn't exist. And the way that they marketed, sold, and fulfilled and scaled you is what they're also going to teach you. So essentially, we can write this all off as complete BS, right? Yes, you can make tons of money doing this, and I see it all the time, trust me. But it's a synthetic thing. And what ends up happening is you attract kind of lookalike people or people that are also marketers. So what ends up happening is like you have essentially labeled yourself in like the internet marketing niche, if you want to call it that. And like, that's it. You just like only talk about internet marketing and like you buy a bunch of courses and masterminds, you grow this stuff and you just live in the internet marketing world. And what ends up happening is everybody's super successful, markets, sells, and fulfills on a product or experience or something like this. And then once you're in it, they teach you what they just did to you, essentially. Okay? Using super generalized, broad sweeping approaches here, but I just want to get you to think about this differently. Now, if you're already in, quote, this space, this should be insanely obvious to you. This should be like, I've heard this a million times, Blake, you're not telling me anything new. That's the point. I understand that. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, buckle up. This will be fun. Okay. If you're already in this world, okay, I want you to think a little bit differently about this. Now, I have a front row seat every week, multiple times a week, to people in, quote, this space, okay? And I'm seeing how debilitating and disabling this space, quote unquote, is. I'll show you how to actually build something that's worth like a ridiculous amount of money without you doing any of this nonsense, right? The synthetic stuff. So if you approach it this way, you're immediately going to box yourself in, okay? What I'd rather make you think about in terms of how different you can be with this is not so much how do I master this space, but to see it as saturated, as full of nonsense, a place that you really don't want to be, to be honest with you. Think of yourself not as a competitor in this space. I want to propose a brand new competitor for you. Or should I say, like a brand new comparison of how you need to view yourself, all right? Instead of you moving about the world, trying to provide value, trying to build a crazy awesome business, instead of you doing that in this space where it's super crowded and weird, I would implore you to look at yourself as going against a movement or going maybe into a movement against a current system. So this is sort of this dying internet marketing weird niche that it's honestly kind of boring, to be honest with you. Rather, out the gate, I would encourage you to look at your competitor or your comparison as this. Universities, okay? Maybe like an MBA, Master's of Business, right? Hedge fund. Hedge funds. Think of things like assets, like real assets or real estate. When you think of this world, you completely have a different pricing structure, right? With universities, you have 30 to 200K per year right out the gate. And what most people do in universities is they will get like a government loan or scholarships or something like this to be a part of this university. Now, you see where I'm going with this. In the online education world, whatever this is, yes, you can usually get a better result or a better practical knowledge than any of this will teach you. And you see where I'm going with this, right? Is you could pay for a, I don't know, $20,000 mastermind, and it could absolutely destroy this education, right? Completely. You see where I'm going with this. But I want you to think about this as you're not in the online education or online course or coaching or agency or done for you, blah, 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 blah world, but you're in the university, MBA, hedge funds, assets, real estate, right? Let's keep going here. People pay big money to go to university. They will also pay, big money to get their master's in business, right? MBA. Let's talk about hedge funds. Hedge funds, they manage, million to billions of a portfolio. And they take out like a certain percentage of what they manage to their investors, okay? So they make, a ridiculous amount of money managing portfolios. I also want you to think of assets like businesses, proprietary technology, so forth. These things are in the, again, millions to billions. Real estate, you have, anywhere from $100,000 home to a $20 million home, right? That spits off cash flow per month that has appreciation, tax benefits. Okay. Now, why am I saying all this? And why are you looking at this ginormous screen full of Blake's chicken scratch? Because not many people think to live in the second space. They just think to live in the, whatever this is, online course, coaching, agency world. And my goodness, it's so annoying, basically, to see all this nonsense in like your feed, like whether it's advertisements or YouTube or anything like this. It's coaches, agency, consultants, blah, blah, blah. If you want to make 20K, blah, 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 and do this, blah, 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 then do this, I'm telling you, it's just so saturated and quite frankly, very annoying. However, if you conduct yourself as you can go to university, you can get an MBA, you can invest your money into certain hedge funds, you can purchase assets, you can buy real estate, things that people are already purchasing. They're purchasing university experience and education. They're going and getting their MBA. They're buying real estate. They're putting their money into hedge funds. They're operating hedge funds, right? If you think about it this way, then right out the gate, you completely think of yourself differently in how you charge. So now what you can do is go, I'm an expert. You can either go to university to learn this, or you can go to me to learn this. Okay. And I experienced this 100% when I started mastering.com, the e-learning business that I sold. It's the online course world and music production, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's selling these courses. As soon as we realized, wait a second, we shouldn't live in this space. We should look at Berkeley, Full Sail, NYU, the places like this. They're our competitors. What are they charging? 60 grand a year for that? That's garbage. Let's charge a fraction below that and offer better education. You completely, I don't know, it allowed us to be very liberated to not do all of these games, right, with the education space. Okay, just a thought. So now you have to start thinking, not how can I do this nonsense, but how can I do this nonsense, right? Okay, I'll show you how. Basically, with that fundamental understanding, we have to move into what's happening. In this world, the first world, we have you're basically an internet marketer. You're in the internet marketing world. In this world, you're an expert. Okay? That's the clear difference. What you'll find in this space is you will find just a hollow, shallow human being, usually, enter into the models and frameworks and do all this stuff, and they will pick things that they want to sell. They will find experts to attach themselves to or have them attached to them. They will get really good at marketing, really good at frameworks, really good, again, at the model, and they'll find something to sell or find problems in the market or try to notice trends and attach themselves to it. And the people who are rewarded in that space are usually hollow, shallow individuals. I hate to be so blunt about it. However, if you're an expert at something, like somebody who really loves what they're doing, mind you, I also want to say passion. Now, if you're that person, you're gonna feel actually kind of uncomfortable. If that's who you are, you're gonna feel super uncomfortable doing this world. So I see this all the time, like people who have massive YouTube channels, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers. They just have a super deep passion about something, and they love it, and they talk about it all day, and they're an expert at it, and they have a big audience and a community, et cetera, et cetera. What ends up happening to those individuals is, you can't just be a shallow, hollow weirdo to build something like that. You actually have immense value, and your passion shines. And what I would argue, you have intrinsic value that you are following, and it's a passion you're following regardless of what's happening on the internet. When those people want to make more money, or they're underutilizing their audience, or they know that they're bound for more or whatever, they immediately fall into this trap. And they go, okay, I've got 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it's in this specific niche, and I control an audience. Well, I'm going to listen to an internet marketer, and I'm going to figure out this internet marketing thing and supplement my income, blah, 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 blah. And they go and listen to this, and they go, okay, I'm going to buy an online course. There we go. Buy an online course that teaches me how to do mastermind, and it costs $7,000 a year or something. People will build it for me, and I'll do it. And what I'll do is I'll transfer my audience to my community, and then the community pays per month. And as long as I market to the audience that I have and build it into a community and provide some education, maybe I can show them how I built my YouTube channel. I can make the offer more compelling. Maybe I can even charge $700-800 for this instead of $100 a month. That's the world that they start falling into. Rather, ignore all that nonsense and realize, forget that. Forget that. I'm an expert and I'm passionate about something. And I fundamentally believe at my core that if I let my light shine, if I could say it that way, I am more valuable than a university, than going to an MBA. I can structure my deals like a real estate portfolio, like a hedge fund, all of these price points, right? You just start off there, right? And ignore all that other nonsense, okay? Now, mind you, if you're an internet marketer, the rest of this video, it just won't work, okay? Just like leave now. But if you're an expert and you're passionate about something and you get this and you see this and you're confused about how you fit into the internet marketing world and you see the light, you see how it's built on greed, how it's a synthetic economy, how it's not really real, it's kind of a Ponzi scheme, blah, 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 right? As soon as you see that, and you're an expert and you're passionate about it, and you have the conviction that you can compete against the universities, okay, keep listening, okay? This is how we're going to keep going here. The next phase that I would like you to think about is something that I call the true value phase. And this is something that we talk about inside of like our group, college, like the company I own, right? The true value phase. What is the true value phase? In the internet marketing world, you'll hear things like, what's the offer? How to make it super compelling? Like how to make it irresistible? So stupid that you make it so that they feel stupid not saying no to it. And the way that you do that is by adding a bunch of things and go the extra mile and have there be no pain and fine. Great advice, good business advice. Great for beginners. It also is great for people in advanced internet marketing world who are building companies of value in the marketing space. That's fantastic. Okay. I'm just not even going to speak to that. I'm speaking to something that's eternally and intrinsically valuable, not some weird synthetic like bolt-on value, okay? In this phase, I would propose to do kind of the opposite, which is don't bolt on all this nonsense to seem compelling. But if you're an expert and you're passionate and you have conviction against the universities and you're the alternative to an MBA, et cetera, then here's how I think about this. Is charge the most amount of money for the least amount of work. Just sit with that for a little bit, okay? You need to find the biggest point of leverage for you, okay? Where you charge the most amount of money for your expertise, for who you are, for your passion, for the least amount of work. Okay? It should start to feel a little weird now, okay? What do I mean by this? Let's say that you are somebody who is super passionate and an expert at like holistic health or something. Like you found freedom in a certain diet and a way of life that's brought you just tons of freedom from that, okay? You could go get an MBA. Okay, first of all, let me back up. You could go take an online course and how to remove all these, health problems, et cetera, et cetera. Or again, what are we doing? We're competing against the universities. Well, what's the alternative? An MBA. Okay, let me think about that. Well, an MBA, what's the price of that? Where do people go to get the best of the best of the best in the world of education when it comes to like the holistic health side of things? Maybe they'll go to some niche university in Germany, like a holistic health practitioner. Maybe they'll spend $40,000 a year to study under them. There's our target. There it is. So what you do is you just gain complete conviction in that. Let's say you're, again, a holistic sort of health expert, that kind of individual. It's your passion. You're so good at it. You've nailed it. Whatever. It doesn't matter how much money you, quote, made off of it. Let's attach, for the sake of this video and for time, let's attach some sort of value to this, some sort of dollar amount. If you are helping people be cured, in fact, let's build this out together. Cured of let's see, there's multiple things. Maybe it's like nausea. Don't know how to spell. Maybe that's one thing. Maybe another thing can be like chronic pain. Okay. No sleep. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go, but You get the picture. You're not productive. Maybe a couple other things down here could be something like weight gain. And then another thing can be like internal age older than real age. I don't know, something like that. And let's say that you've figured out a way in your passion, your expertise to solve all these things. This is great because now all of your marketing material, which I'm getting ahead of myself, but can be all of your marketing material can focus around this thing and 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 this thing, different angles to eventually make its way to how much would it cost for this person to overcome all of these things, experience healing in their life. And there's a couple different moves or exercises you can go through to gain conviction off of this, especially when you pair yourself up against this niche Germany, holistic health practitioner that we've made up that costs $60,000 a year. You start thinking, okay, how much is that worth? Your answer should always be, well, it should be worth everything. I got my life back. It changed my life. I mean, forget about like what I get or the value or all this nonsense. Like, what do I get? What are my features? Blah, blah, blah. Solve all my issues. But you're going, I'd pay anything for this. Regardless of this, I had the money or not, I'd pay $1 million for this. You need to be in that place or that conviction, okay? So say you're the holistic health practitioner person. This is a perfect example if you are. You start realizing, okay, I'm like curing like chronic illness and like getting their life back. And like, I can pull the thread of like how important that is to them, right? I mean, all this stuff. And you eventually spit out some sort of convictional number that sort of seems weird. Like, where is this coming from? But in this example, let's just say it's $40,000. Okay. If we're thinking correctly, if we're thinking not like an internet marketer, but we're thinking like against the universities and we're actual experts and we're passionate about it, right? This number, you might go, oh, I don't know, because you're stuck in this world. And as much as you are in this world, this will be difficult for you to hear, but stay with me, okay? The key is, okay, we found that number. What's the most amount I can charge? We can probably charge a hell of a lot more. This is the next thing. What's the least amount of work I can do? The way that you do this is in the internet marketing world, you go, okay, done for you, one-on-one, bolt on, agency, we'll do it for you, blah, blah, blah. No. The opposite. Okay. Assuming you have your complete ideal client, the person who you can help for the least amount of effort, you have to ask yourself, am I actually an expert at this? If so, I can solve their issues or get them on a journey or really change their entire life a lot shorter than I went through it. So this journey that you went on in the holistic health space, maybe, let's say it took you like 18 months. And let's say that you spent like $200,000 like solving this issue. Not to mention all the pain and experience that you have to go through, right? You went through that so that your future clients don't have to, right? You sympathize with them. And this comes, by the way, with my understanding of how God works is, and this might be completely out of left field, but I'm just showing you the framework that I operate from, is he went through sort of the ultimate suffering. He came down from heaven, he bore his life, he completely shed himself. He did this for you, right? He was worth everything and he became nothing. He entered into all this suffering and pain so that you don't have to, right? That's sort of my fundamental worldview that I operate from. It's completely related, right? Because if I operate from that fundamental worldview, I go, okay, it's super easy to understand these frameworks then. Okay, you holistic health practitioner, you went through this and paid this so that somebody else didn't have to. Now you bore the pain of your clients. You bared their cross, right? You're feeling it for them. You can sympathize with them and you can help them, right? It's something to be rewarded from, and they are going to benefit from you, right? So the reality is with the right client, that could probably take, let's think of the least amount we can do, assuming it's the perfect client, the top 0.001% your client, okay? maybe 3 phone calls, and like a document, 1 page to keep you accountable. This is just an example of least amount of work, okay? How do you know you're in the least amount of work? You have to feel tension. How do I spell tension? Like that? Or is it with a T? I don't know. Let's go pain. It needs to feel uncomfortable. It needs to feel like, how can I charge this much for this little? You need to sit in that experience. Why? Because you need your expert intuition to be on full display. And if you hide behind all of these nonsense business frameworks and do this, do that, and we'll do this for you, and you won't actually realize your expertise and your passion. If you get an expert in the room to riff off of their expertise, it should feel effortless to them. They should be able to talk for days about it, that you poke them and they shine, right? That boom, it all comes alive. I see this all the time. I have a front row seat to this, where you poke somebody who's an expert at something, and you say, explain to me the challenge that you'll help your clients overcome in this and this. And, they will usually get to a place where they go, oh, it's just this, blah, 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 and they'll explain this whole like, oh, it's easy, you just do this. Once you get them in that phase, you being an expert, to go, wow, you just communicated it so simply. It's just so easy to you. You roll your eyes and go, oh, it's just this. You just do this. Then it becomes very valuable. It's kind of like what I'm doing here is, if we stop the recording and somebody over here asks me, how are you thinking through this? How do you do this? I would honestly say, I don't think this is that impressive. I just know this stuff. It's just easy for me. It's just, I intuit all this. I don't need notes or any of this stuff. It's because I'm an expert at it. And I look at this and go, oh, this is so easy. Right. I shouldn't be punished for that. I should be rewarded for that. And experts need to live in that space where there's no friction. They just show up, they're themselves, they intuit things, and then they just share, and it just changes people's lives. That's why I said, if you're an internet marketer or something, like just leave yourself at the door. This is for people who are experts and super passionate about something. Okay? Let's keep going. That should be very painful to charge $40,000 for 3 phone calls. Okay? $40,000 for a 1-pager. Or $40,000 for 40 people, 1 call per week, group for 3 months. You need to find your unique way of doing this, where you can experience the most pain and discomfort here. This needs to be the most amount that you can possibly charge. This needs to be the least amount. That chasm in between will bring your true value here. See, what happens is, if you do this correctly, you have the price and then you have the work that you do. If you do this correctly, then here's where your true value will shine. And what ends up happening is we limit ourselves. We put a cap by what we can charge right here. And it devalues who you are. And then we put a cap on how little we can do, and we do more than what we need to do, right? So really, the way that you can think about it is, you're pretending about how much you're worth, and you're doing too much. So you're performing. And what ends up happening is your true value doesn't shine when you do something like this. If you're pretending that you're not as valuable as you are by lowering your price, and you're also performing by doing all this stuff that you don't need to do, and your true value isn't there, then what ends up happening is you have ego, insecurity. This is like self-worth. You have all of these things that you're just feeding yourself into. You become a mirror, right? You're limiting your potential. And the more you do things and the less amount that you charge, the more it fuels this nonsense. And as an expert, you're not going to be rewarded for that. So what I'd like to think about this is let's stop being selfish here. Let's actually find out what our true value is. Because in that, you are not going to rely on content, like the educational materials. You're not going to rely on services. You are not going to rely on one-on-one or something like this. You're not going to rely on done for you. You're not going to rely on frameworks. You're not going to hide behind your community, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You are going to be on full display to where your clients, for example, in this example here, let's say it's 40 people, 1 call a week for 3 months. You have 40 people who have paid $40,000 each, and there's 3 months of calls, and the calls happen once a week. You, my friend, are going to experience lots of tension. I promise you. You're going to sit behind that camera or in person or something and go, I want to do more. I want to provide more. I want to service them, and they're paying me so much. Or people are not getting the results. They're not happy. I need to lower the price of this. And you're going to have that happen. People will see themselves out the door. You will have to refund them. You will get tired of doing too much. But what remains are the people who are grateful for you, who see the value, right? But here's the point. If you're in that pain and that discomfort, right? If you're sitting in that, then you'll know your true value, and you'll be tempted and challenged to, one, remain true to the price that you said that you would charge, and two, resist the temptation to do more, okay? If you hold your ground there, your conviction of your true value will go through the roof. You'll see all of this. If you cave, then you will lower the price next time, and or you will start doing more than what you need to do, which again undermines who you are and your true value. But if you don't cave, if you keep the price up, if you don't cave and do a bunch of stuff, and you just live in this fixed framework that you put yourself in, you'll see this happen. You'll see discomfort in yourself that you'll have to fight every day to build conviction of your true value. You will also see the discomfort in your clients, because they will want to say, can it be more than that? I want to pay for the process. I thought I'd have to do more. Why am I not getting enough from you? Blah, 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 blah. We have too many people on this call. We need to have more calls. Can we have a one-on-one? Can we do this? You're going to have to push against that, hold your ground, live in this space, and your true value will come out. Because what's left? What's left if you hold your ground there? What's left? What's left is you. And you have to only face the music in this framework with your intuition. All you have is be. You don't have do, you don't have, you don't have services, you don't have agencies, you don't have course, it's just you. And you sit in your intuitive sense and you flow from there. Now, what ends up happening if you do that? Well, if you productize too soon and start making courses and monetizing it, and I want to scale this, blah, 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 you'll miss out on the true value. But if you live in this B state for a short amount of time, by the way, this isn't forever, okay? I just want to spoil alert. If you live in that, what ends up happening are the real KPIs will emerge. What do I mean by this? Real KPI, key performance indicators. The real success will come through. You thought you were getting rid of chronic pain, but really what ended up happening is that they wanted to get their life back. Something you could have never predicted. Whatever it may be, right? I'm not going to go on with this example, but the real KPIs will emerge that you could have never predicted, no matter how much of an expert you are, okay? If you sit in the tension, the real KPIs emerge, the ones that'll surprise you the most. I did this in my partners engagement. We have a group of entrepreneurs, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs who are all incredible. They're crushing it. It's an amazing community that we all share our learnings, and we sort of act like board members together. I asked them, I said, where do you guys think my true value is? And they said, no, we're not going to answer this. You tell me where your true value is, or at least what you think we would say. And I started, I sold an education company, and they all started grinning, and they were pissed. They said, dude, you're not even close. It's cute that you did all that. Your value is this, 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 this. And they started showing me, and I would have never guessed that was my value. Why? Because my value is what I do intuitively, and I'm so blind to it. But if you put yourself in a position of the true value phase, the real KPIs will emerge, and your real value will creep up to the surface. Not your insecurities of the guarding you from your real value, but it'll go up to the surface. It'll surface. It'll be like a tea in hot water, the tea bag in hot water. It'll start coming out, right? And your real value is, if you look at it and go, oh, well, if that's it, I can do this all day. Yes, my point. If you can do this all day, guess what? Your price increases and you do less. Okay? What else will happen? Pain of communicating will emerge. If you don't have the frameworks, you don't have content to go off of, if you don't have done for you, if you don't have agencies, all this stuff, and you just limit yourself to this engagement that you've restricted yourself to, pain of communicating the value in the offer will come up. Or not only that, but communicating the transformation of how they get it, okay? The pain will come up, all right? What do I mean by this? You won't rely on these frameworks and these trademarked content that you could be making. You won't rely on course material. You won't rely on services. They back you into a corner. And in order to infuse the experience of the knowledge, you are forced to communicate in your intuition. What will end up happening is you will find yourself communicating these things in ways that you've never uncovered. Think about what experts do. They never stop and think about how they've come to this place. They've kind of been in survival mode. I just practice my practice. I go deeper and deeper, and I'm by no means going to explain how I got here. In fact, what ends up happening is you become such an expert that you're the only one in the world who can do this, okay? And I've experienced this, by the way, with audio mastering. I became sort of the top 1% in that skill set. And when somebody would ask me, well, how do you do what you do? I'd show them, and it's like, well, I'll never be able to learn this. It's because I intuited that, and I was just operating from my intuition, and I was in a position where it's like, you have to be me, basically, in order to do what I do. So I become very valuable. But if you stop, slow down your process, slow down what happened, and mark, what happened? What do I do? How is my intuition productized? How is my intuition going to shine? How is my intuition going to be communicated? Now you've replicated yourself. That's worth millions of dollars. And the only way to do that, in my judgment, is you have to sit in this true value stage where it's just you and the frameworks are limiting, and you have to communicate things. And if your clients do the right thing, they'll ask you, this is gold. How did you do this? And they'll start poking you and asking questions. Your explanations about how you got there and what you're doing will start popping up. Well, it's this life experience. One time I did this and this and this. When I was 12, I had to do this. And you'll start finding that your unique life experience that's only proprietary to you is like the reason why you intuit everything, right? So your clients will help extract that out of you and go, oh, I didn't realize I was so good at learning this stuff because I went to med school the first 3 years after college, and I had to do this and this, and I experienced chronic fatigue, and during that process, I had to go blah, blah, blah. You don't realize that you learn these intuitive things along the way. You've never slowed down to realize, okay, what is it that's happened to me to become so passionate and such an expert about this, right? That's where the real KPIs will emerge and the pain of communicating will emerge, and you'll have all of that to communicate. Now, once you live in this true value phase, as I like to call it, what do you do from there? By the way, in this example, 40 people at $40,000, you can do the math on that. Now, what do you have after you've done this? You have, after true value, can't spell, sorry. After true value phase, you have all articulation to attract your top 1% clients or community member. Client, there we go. You have all the articulation messaging to attract your top 1% client that breaks through to cold advertising. Okay? I'll break down the sentence. You have all the articulation and messaging. What do I mean by this? You can name and voice and type and speak openly about the real KPIs, getting your life back, right? All of this stuff that will emerge. You can also know how to communicate how you do what you do in your unique way, and people giving you a feedback loop to uncover your unique intuitive expertise and your passion. You have all of that. Literally, you can type it out in a half a pager, a one pager. You have all the articulation needed. Why is that articulation important? Well, if you didn't go this true value phase, you would be productizing things. You would be like attracting people like at a low energy level, right? Like these individuals, as opposed to over here. But now that you've worked with the top 1% of people, you have all the articulation for the real KPIs, your unique life experience, blah, blah, blah. And it attracts your top 1% client. What do I mean by that? Well, in these 40 people that you worked with, for this example, maybe 4 of them, 10 of them, 1 of them, whatever, is just a shining success, like unbelievable. You can interview them and go, let me unpack why this is so valuable for you. Could you please can we please dialogue, and I want to ask you a bunch of questions. You get all the articulation there for your top 1%. Now you can use cold advertising to attract the top 1% of people in the world. Instead of going for the masses and getting millions of people into your thing, or thousands of people, or even hundreds of people, you have all the articulation to sniper focus and cut through all the nonsense and messaging to speak to the 40 to 40,000 people that exist in the world who will pay you $40K to $100K to $400K to help solve their issues and help them with their problems. Okay? That top 1% is fantastic because you extract that information, you bring it to cold advertising with the right articulation and creative messaging. You can throw money at this and let the algorithm do the work. If the creative's good and you have this, it'll do all the work for you, and you can find these people so that when they get on the phone, when they sign up, they're just perfect. They'll say things like, "I can't believe I found you," or "Your ad cut through the noise," etc., right? All of that will happen. You need to go through the true value phase to uncover your true value and to uncover how to articulate your true value. If you have your true value plus how to articulate that value, oops, that value, then you have something outside yourself. You've done it. You know where the value is. You know how to articulate the value. That value now isn't just your intuition. It isn't just you. It's something that you submitted yourself to. It's the mastery of the craft. It's the passion. It's the practice. It's the thing that you objectively conform yourself to that was given to you. It's almost a divine infusion of experience that you realize, oh my goodness, this isn't me. This is a submission to something greater than me. And I can see it and I can articulate the value. Now you have a company. What in the world did I just say? Real estate has nothing to do with you. It's 4 walls and a roof that sits on a piece of land that performs with or without you. A hedge fund, assets. This is a portfolio of stocks, bonds, things that you control that happen to be attached to companies that are publicly traded that go up or down with or without you. You see? Once you see this, you'll realize that you're sitting on something that is worth $400,000. It's worth $4 million. Wait a second. This is a divine order that I submit myself to. And I am the voice of I'm the person to voice what this true value is. And I've noticed what's happening objectively inside this group without me. And I can articulate what it is. And now you moved from you being the expert, from you being the value. Oops, there we go. To the value being the value. You see, it's objective. It's an asset. It's something that you have conformed yourself to. Whether or not you're aware of it, you have submitted yourself to deep mastery, expertise, passion, craft, whatever it may be, and you can now communicate that value. You now become a voice piece. I don't know if it's I before E except after C. I don't know if that's always true. I'm not sure. But you become a messenger. Messenger. There we go. You become the person who can clearly articulate these things to the market. You'll be perceived as a genius because it's like, I've never heard somebody say this. I've been thinking this and feeling this, but you've put words to what I'm thinking and feeling. Right. Now what you are in a position to do is hold this equity value that exists. It's an actual company now. And you can go speak freely about this thing that you're passionate about, that you're an expert about, that you don't have to market, you don't have to sell, you don't have to do any of this freaking BS. You don't have to buy all these stupid courses. You have an asset that you can control. And guess what? Your asset is your value. Your asset is your life's practice that you submitted you to. The asset is the value outside of you. And you're observing it. You're realizing that you aren't the guru. You aren't the person in charge. You just submitted yourself to this proprietary practice in life that is clearly divine, clearly something that you are longing to go deeper and deeper into. You've removed yourself from it. You notice that it's a thing. You notice 40 other people are in this. And now you can articulate what this thing is. You're unstoppable. You have value that you can provide, and you know how to articulate it. That's a company. That's an asset. That's something that has intrinsic value, okay? Okay. Now that we moved out of this true value phase, we move into scaling this business. I'm not going to go quite to scale yet, because when people think scale, they think one thing. I'm going to kind of think of it a little bit differently here. What you could do now, going back to this true value, now you know how to articulate things, I want to talk to you about cost per acquisition. Okay? CPA. Your cost to acquire a customer. There's only 2 ways to think about building a big business. What's your cost to acquire a customer? What's the lifetime value of a customer? That's it. Okay? So you have to ask the question, how do I lower my cost to acquire a customer? How do I increase my lifetime value of a customer? That's it. Okay? In the online business world, courses, consultants, agency, done for you, blah, 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 if you don't have an organic presence and you just go to ads, your CPA at best will be $500. At worst will be $4,000. Maybe even worse than that. But I just want to give you a little bit of a range for argument's sake, okay? Let's say you continue to have no organic audience, no organic presence. Your CPA ends up being, okay, $3,800 plus I'm hiring an agency to do ads. That's $5,000 a month. Okay, that's 88. I need to close somebody. I need, all this. And then you have like a closer, you pay 10%. Okay, ooh, that's hard. That's $800, right? $880. Okay, it's eating into this, right? If you're selling a freaking course, you better make sure that it's $8,000 or else you're totally screwed, you see? Okay, well, this is hard. This is too much friction. Okay, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to start marketing, or organic, all these things. Why do people do that? To sell people, right? So what ends up happening is your CPA now, because of all this organic presence you have, goes down. Now it's $800 to acquire a customer. Whew, that's a lot better. But you still sell an $8,000 product. In this world, okay, you have Headroom. I use this in the music producer world, okay? I'm a recovering music producer. And Headroom. You have noise going on in the room. It goes through the console, all of this stuff. It goes into Pro Tools in the software, right? You see the little waveforms. If it's stacked, if it's just big, bulky waveforms, I don't have any headroom. I can't throw my weight around. I can't EQ. I can't compress this. If I have lots of dynamic range and it's small, audio, right, and I see the waveforms a little bit quieter, I have headroom. I can boost things. I can compress things. I can start manipulating things, right? In this new world that you're in, the true value, the objective value you created, the $40,000 thing, competing with the university, you have 40 people in it, right? You've proven it. You've proven the true value phase. Let's now go to acquire a customer through paid advertising. You have all the articulation, all the messaging to attract the 1% client. You will not speak to the beginner, low frequency, low energy people. You'll cut straight to the killers. High net worth individuals, people that want to solve these problems, are already looking into going to Germany to this specific practice, spend $60,000. You can cut right through them, right through to them. What is your cost required per customer, right? You can pay up to $40,000 to Meta to acquire one customer. Because your offer is $40,000. You've got some amazing headroom. Let's apply some of the internet marketing kind of weird frameworks to this. Let's say because of all the friction you've introduced by only attracting 1% people, because the articulation is so cutting and just cuts through all the marketing crap, and because you have all the headroom in the world and you insert friction into your video sales letter, your landing page, they have to jump through all these hoops, right? Whatever it may be. Let's say you have tons of friction, okay? Your price is expensive, so you push people away. Whatever it may be, your CPA maybe is like $5,000 or something. Spend all day, because you will make $35,000 on that investment. You see, I would be going, how do I spend as much money as humanly possible to do this? And guess what? You've already chosen to do as little as possible to fulfill, remember? So this can scale. You can have 100 people in this. You can have 200 people in this. But I'm going to show you, it's not about scaling with the amount of people. It's about scaling a different way, okay? But I just wanted to show you that, let me just recap. If you don't live here, you're good. If you move here, you're good, right? You move into this space. You're not an internet marketer. You're expert passion, right? You enter into your true value phase. You do what's the most amount for least amount of work. You develop your offer. You charge the most amount for it. You have been through hell and back. You can do this in a very short amount of time. Try to do less. Try to do more. Experience the pain. Don't rely on all these things, right? You know what your true value is. You know how much you should charge. You know how little you should do. You are on full display. You've limited your fulfillment mechanism. All you have is you. Then the real KPIs emerge. The pain of communicating will emerge. You realize your unique expertise, how you got there. You'll start productizing this. You'll start to be able to communicate this. After you've gone through your true value phase, you observe all the articulation that can attract and cut through a cold audience. If you productize too soon and just start doing advertising before the true value phase, you'll attract low energy people. Your CPA will be through the roof, and you'll attract people that can't afford $5,000 or more. You have your true value, plus you have your ability to articulate. You have a real business, something outside of yourself. You don't become the value becomes the value. You become the messenger, the voice piece, which means you just talk openly and you don't need to be punished for that. You can talk it as an expert, and people will reward you for it. The internet marketing world, your CPA looks like this. Let's apply those frameworks to this new one. You have all the headroom in the world. It's $40,000 to acquire a customer. You can easily afford $40,000, but it's most likely going to be $5,000 to acquire a customer. You'll make $35,000, and your fulfillment mechanism is only a call a week, and you can add more people to that. That's what I'm trying to get you to see, right? Now, basically you've built this with leverage. How do you get more leverage out of this? Okay. Because in the weird, like online internet marketing space, it's just set up the machine, do the marketing. Your offer is the marketing. You show people how to market and sell what you just sold. You run a mastermind to show people how you just run your mastermind, all this nonsense, right? Or we're going to show you the exact strategies we use in our company to do this and this, and we're going to do it for you too. And it's all this synthetic garbage. They don't go through this space. In fact, I would challenge all those in that space to humble themselves, put themselves in this unique position, do way less, charge way more, see if they are a shallow or hollow human being, and whether they can stand their ground and actually have deep expertise there. If they are, they will emerge as incredibly valuable, and they don't have to have this complicated business, okay? Other than that, I haven't really thought about this too much. Moving on from this, let's talk about scale. Once you've figured this out, you now have a way to acquire customers. You don't need to do all this nonsense. You don't need to set up more funnels and paid advertising, like a ton of it. You don't need to do organic, all this nonsense. You've built for headroom. You've built for leverage, okay? How do you scale? Well, you've charged a lot. You don't do a lot. You already can scale. You could scale by just doing more, by having more people in this. But you'll reach a bottleneck eventually, right? So how do you scale? In the internet marketing world, it's this. Okay, there's internet marketing. Internet marketing world, it's funnels, right? Russell Brunson, whatever, all this stuff. It's over here, I have conversion. And then over here, I have fulfillment. The magic in this internet marketing thing is you fix the fulfillment. It's a course. It's an evergreen community. You can start at any time. It's not done for you. Blah, 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 blah. It's just this productized, trademarked thing that if you have 1,000 clients or one client, it requires no more of your time or effort, okay? So you've fixed the fulfillment. That's what the beauty of the internet marketing world is, okay? So it all comes down to that conversion. But guess what? The only way to scale is just more people into the funnel. So now your offer, as more people get in, you start to realize all of these people's challenges. And so you change this offer to help these people more. But as you're getting more people in, you're realizing that that's not working. So you have to change what you say. You have to change how you get people in. So you try a podcast. Oh, the podcast works. Okay, I'm going to include it in my thing. You do a new VSL, new marketing, and go, we figured out a new way to do podcasting, how to get clients. We're going to show you. So you build a new funnel, blah, blah, blah. And it just becomes a synthetic thing. And the fulfillment mechanism is stupid, basically. There's no real expertise there. It's actually kind of like a circus game. But the only way to scale with this is just more people, right? These businesses will last 5 years and then you have to pivot, okay? Rather, let's think about scale, okay? Scale. In the internet marketing space, you have your true value right here. Whatever your product is, your service, your offering, whatever. Again, in the internet marketing space, it's fixed. The fulfillment mechanism's fixed. You know what you're doing, right? You can handle 10,000 people, 1,000 people, whatever. It's totally dialed in. How do you scale? Well, more people. So what ends up happening is you scale this way. Okay? What do I mean by scale this way? It means more people. Now, somebody here is ready to buy from you. They're just 1 degree away. Somebody here is far away. Somebody here is far away. Somebody here is cold. Somebody here has never heard of you. Somebody here doesn't even know they have this problem. They probably don't even have this problem. You have to create the problem for them. And so what ends up happening is you focus on, the only way to scale is to focus these people. So you build complex funnel systems. You build marketing endeavors that speak energetically to a lower tier, okay? I'm not saying that these people are not human. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that your marketing material, that what you put out into the marketplace, your brand, the messaging, the articulation, you will inevitably go for the masses. So you'll have some material talking about problem-aware, solution-aware people, right? Somewhere over here. And then way over here, total beginners. So you start creating like downsells for these people. Let me back up here. So like, our cost per acquisition is getting really high. I'm going to create a $49 thing because they can't afford our thing and they need to be more problem aware, blah, blah, blah. Our cost per acquisition is going up. We can't keep our customers, paid advertising is going crazy. Organic is getting slow. Let's just create a low-end product that speaks to these people that are beginners. It'll nurture them. After we nurture them, we'll sell them, blah, 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 all the internet marketing garbage, okay? This product now is energetically aligning with these people. Do you think that will improve your life or not? But what ends up happening is now you have to get a funnel for this $49 thing, and you got to do a launch, and you have to have more hires, right? All this stuff. And okay, maybe I create a podcast just for these people to nurture, to get them more aware, and now I have to community, right? And that will nurture, more nurturing. And all you're doing is trying to lower your CPA and get more clients. I wouldn't be surprised if there were companies called Get More Clients or something, or lower your CPA or get clients. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if there's literally entire companies that talk about this. They're built to do this. Now, I don't know about you. Even if you're an internet marketing nerd, that's pretty stupid, right? It's too much work. Do you want a life? You know what I mean? Don't you have a family you want to spend time with? I don't know. But for a passionate expert who doesn't care about any of this garbage, they certainly don't want to build this nonsense. What I would strongly suggest is to scale the other way. Okay? In the internet marketing world, this means selling things to your existing customer list. Okay, that's the most bland, two-dimensional way to express this. But what I would do is I would go deeper with your clients, with your best clients. Now, what does that look like? Well, if let's say you have your $40,000 thing with 40 people in it, and it's 1 call per week, and it's 3 months. Let's say it's all that, okay? You got your true value dialed. You know how to get people into that, dude. Scale that all day. That's fine. Let's say that there are 4 people. Let's scale this way. 4 people who are your best friends, your bros, your sisters, right? You're you've made your people, you've won, right? You have incredible people now, and you just go deeper with them and share the love, right? Those people, they most likely, if they're like high net worth individuals or people that really are most likely grateful for who you are and what you've provided for them and the experience you've curated for them, they for sure will go deeper with you. And let's imagine those 4 people, you do a new thing where it's like $100K per year, and then you meet up every quarter. And that's it. Okay? That just injected $400,000 of revenue. What did that do to your bottom line? Well, it's an extra $400,000. That's good. But what else did it do? It increased the headroom in your business. Now, I don't know what the math is on this, but if you do 40,000 for one offer and then you do 10% of that, so 4 people, 400,000, your average lifetime value of a customer is now like higher. It's like, 80,000 or whatever the math is on that. Now you can go back to this and go, I can now afford whatever the new number is. I can afford an $80,000 cost per acquisition, which means I can get more stingy with my messaging, my articulation, how I present myself to the market, right? It's pretty impressive, right? Because now you can go back to the cold audience and only aim for the 1%. And now you can start removing the friction and just cutting right through, and you're not trying to grab every single lead and all this. You can just talk to the real killers, basically, because your headroom is $80,000. You can spend $80,000 in 1 month and make 1 client and break even. Imagine the type of client that you'll get if you operate your business like this. You see? Now that's pretty sweet because you've increased your headroom for your CPA. You've added to your bottom line. You don't need to do any extra work. You're not downshifting all your expertise to these weird internet marketing frameworks. But here's the most important and incredible thing that happens from there. From this experience, you get more awareness of the real KPIs. We're going back to these first principles again, okay? And you get more awareness of how to articulate these KPIs. That, my friend, is where the gold is. You will never be able to uncover this gold if you just scale down and get more people in your thing and buy a Russell Brunson book and blah, 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 whatever. Okay, I'm sure he's a nice guy, that's fine. I'd love to meet him one day. That'd be cool. But anyways, you have more awareness of the real KPIs. You have more awareness of how to articulate these KPIs just by going deeper and deeper and working with these people. You've essentially created your own company with 4 incredible people. It's almost like a boardroom of your own advisors where they become your friends. You go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's like an incredible opportunity to understand, again, the deeper value, the thing you guys are all submitting to. Mind you, the thing that you created is something outside of yourself. And this now becomes an exploration to where you guys all go on a journey to follow the practice that you are articulating for them. You're bringing language to the thing that we're all excited about, right? Now this becomes a rewarding process to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into your passion, to your expertise, your mastery, your process, as opposed to deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into scaling your weird internet online business, okay? This model, if I can propose it that way, is a way for experts to go deeper and deeper and deeper into their subject matter expertise and not have to be the guru all the time. They're just articulating the value that is presented in front of them because they're living in their true value phase, okay? So you scale this way, right? You scale, here it is. You scale this way, as opposed to this way. Just don't do any of that nonsense, okay? You scale this instead, okay? That's where everything is. That's where the real money is, right? Now, once you put it this way, y'all, I'll wrap it up by saying this. What happens? Business becomes easier. You'll have less friction. What do I mean by this? I found this with my own business. There are people who go through our funnels and do all that stuff and talk to people, talk to our team, this and this, and they sign up and everything's good and it's fantastic and it's wonderful. Okay. Then there's people with very high net worths who see what we're doing, go right around. They say, I heard about you through a friend. They give me their cell phone number. I go for a walk on the beach. We chat for 30 minutes. They ask me to help them. I send them an invoice. They don't balk at the price. They just go right to it, and we're doing our stuff. And those people, so generous, so grateful, so willing to give, totally see the value. And as soon as, again, energetically you scale this way, you'll start attracting people that are incredible. I mean, they're real killers. They're not like internet marketing weirdos. They don't hide behind the keyboard. They're real people with integrity and ethics and a deep well of knowledge and expertise. They don't talk that much about money. They don't talk about income claims or any of this nonsense. They're people of deep character who get it, and you can start doing deals like on a handshake basis, right? And I've experienced this in real life. And so what ends up happening from there, I will redraw that arrow, is you move into an incredible category. Over here, you have online business, okay? And over here, you have an undercover equity machine that's human-centered. Goes away from online. Makes so much more money. It just does, trust me. Right? And you're not in the internet marketing space. You're in equity land, portfolio land, asset land, right? Hedge fund. You are the alternative to a university. You're the undercover billionaire, if you want to put it that way, right? And you don't need to mess with your computer, and just like live behind like what I'm doing now, all this stuff, right? You don't need to just live behind your nomadic laptop life of just making $1 million online. You can just kind of float away and only focus on this. So what's incredible about this is you'll have real lifelong relationships with love, gratitude, and like real wealth, basically. And you can pour all of that. Now that you have that, you have a business that's an asset that's actually worth something that you can sell. Plus, you'll be able to invest in other assets like real estate and so forth. And you can kind of just like ignore all the internet online marketing crap. So anyways, just some food for thought of how to think differently about your like online business thing. Hope it was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.